My phone buzzed for the third time during grace. We were all sitting around my son's dining table, heads bowed, hands clasped, while Thomas said a prayer over the Christmas turkey. His wife Monica was to my left, their two children across from me, and the table was set with Monica's grandmother's china and candles that made everything glow warm and golden. Picture perfect Christmas dinner. The kind you see in magazines, and my phone wouldn't stop buzzing in my purse. And we thank you for bringing family together on this blessed day, Thomas continued, his voice resonant and sincere. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to ignore it. Probably a spam call. Probably some automated message about my car's extended warranty or a political campaign I'd never donated to. Amen, everyone said together. I opened my eyes and smiled, reaching for my water glass. Then my phone rang. Actually rang, cutting through the cheerful Christmas music playing softly in the background. Mom, Thomas said, a slight edge to his voice. Your phone, I'm so sorry. I fumbled in my purse and pulled it out, ready to silence it. Unknown number. I declined the call and set the phone face down on the table. Sorry, everyone, I don't know who that is. Monica smiled tightly. No worries, Margaret, let's eat before everything gets cold. But before I could pick up my fork, the phone buzzed again. A text message this time, from the same unknown number. Against my better judgment, I glanced at the screen. Come home now, my stomach clenched. Mom, Thomas was watching me. Everything okay? Yes, fine, just. I turned the phone completely off and tucked it back in my purse. Just spam. Let's eat, but my hands were shaking as I reached for the mashed potatoes. Because something about that text, the all caps, the urgency, the fact that someone had my number felt wrong, very wrong. If you've ever felt that cold whisper of intuition telling you something terrible is happening, if you've ever ignored warning signs only to discover the truth too late, then stay with me. Because what happened next turned my perfect Christmas into a nightmare I'll never forget. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes the worst betrayals come from the people you trust most. My name is Margaret Whitmore. I'm 68 years old, and this is the story of the Christmas my son tried to destroy me. Let me back up and give you the full picture. My husband Richard died 2 years ago, pancreatic cancer, fast and brutal. 4 months from diagnosis to death. We'd been married for 43 years, built a life together, raised our son Thomas, saved carefully, invested wisely, built something solid. Richard was a chemical engineer. I was a high school English teacher. Nothing glamorous, but we were comfortable, very comfortable. When Richard died, he left me everything. The house, a beautiful 1920s craftsman in suburban Boston. Our investment portfolio, about $2.3 million in stocks and bonds, his life insurance, his pension, everything was mine. And everything was documented in his will, which he'd updated just 6 months before his diagnosis. Almost like he knew, the original will was kept in our safe deposit box at the bank. But Richard, being the careful engineer he was, had also kept a certified copy in our home safe, along with the physical stock certificates he'd never converted to electronic form. Old school, he used to say with a smile, but safer, can't hack a piece of paper. After he died, I'd mostly left everything alone, too painful to deal with, too overwhelming. I lived in our house, paid the bills from our joint checking account, and tried to figure out how to be a widow instead of a wife. Thomas had been supportive, calling every week, visiting every month, bringing Monica and the kids for Sunday dinners. Mom, you know you don't have to do all this, he'd say when I'd cook a full meal. We can just order pizza. I like cooking for you, I'd reply. It makes me feel useful, and it did. After Richard died, I felt unmoored, purposeless. Cooking for my son's family gave me something to focus on besides the empty side of the bed. This Christmas, Thomas had insisted I come to their house instead. Mom, you've hosted us for 2 years since Dad died. Let us take care of you for once. It had seemed sweet, thoughtful, a son wanting to ease his mother's burden. I should have known better. At the Christmas dinner table, I tried to focus on my food. The turkey was dry, Monica had overcooked it, but I smiled and complimented everything. This is delicious, Monica. The stuffing is perfect. Thanks, Margaret. She barely looked at me, too busy cutting up food for their youngest, Emma. Thomas was talking about work, something about a promotion he was hoping for. A new position that would come with a significant raise. We really need it, he said, glancing at Monica. With the kids getting older, expenses keep going up, and the house needs a new roof. The estimate came back at $35,000. $35,000, I said, shocked. That's outrageous. Tell me about it. Thomas stabbed at his turkey. But what can you do? It needs to be done. An awkward silence fell over the table. I suddenly felt like I was supposed to say something, like there was an expectation hanging in the air. Was he hinting that I should offer to help? Before I could figure out how to respond, my phone buzzed again in my purse, even though I'd turned it off. No, wait, I thought I'd turned it off, but maybe I'd just silenced it. Mom, Thomas said, his voice sharp now. Seriously, I'm sorry, I thought I turned it off. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Three rapid vibrations, like whoever was calling was desperately trying to reach me. Just answer it, Monica said, her smile now completely gone. Obviously, someone needs to talk to you. My face burning with embarrassment, I pulled out the phone. 4 missed calls, 6 text messages, all from the same unknown number. I opened the messages. Come home now, Margrt, come home. Your house now, emergency, come home now, please, this is urgent. If you don't come home right now, you will regret it. My blood turned to ice. Mom, Thomas was standing now. What is it? What's wrong? I stared at the messages. Someone is telling me to come home. They say it's an emergency. Let me see. Thomas reached for my phone. I handed it to him, my hands shaking. He frowned at the screen. Unknown number. It's probably a scam, Mom, some kind of phishing thing. But they used my name. Scammers can find anyone's name these days. He handed the phone back. Ignore it. If it's a real emergency, they'd call 911, not spam your phone. That made sense, logical sense, but my gut was screaming at me. I think I should go check, I said quietly, just to be safe. Mom, come on. We're in the middle of Christmas dinner. I know, but it's nothing, trust me. Thomas sat back down. Now let's eat before everything is completely cold. Monica was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read, not concern. Something else, I tried to eat another bite, but my stomach was churning. Then my phone rang again. This time I answered it immediately. Hello? Silence for a beat. Then a voicemail, disguised somehow, muffled and distorted. Margaret Whitmore, yes, who is this? Go home right now, your house is being robbed. The line went dead. I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the hardwood floor. Mom, Thomas protested. What are you doing? Someone just told me my house is being robbed. I have to go. That's absurd, Thomas, I'm going home. Now, my voice came out sharper than I'd intended. Monica and Thomas exchanged a look. A quick, meaningful look that I caught even in my panic. Fine, Thomas said. I'll drive you. No, stay with your family. I'll drive myself. Mom, you're upset. You shouldn't drive. I'm perfectly capable of driving my own car, Thomas. I grabbed my purse and coat, my heart hammering against my ribs. Thank you for dinner, Monica. I'm sorry to rush out like this. Monica didn't respond, just watched me with that strange, unreadable expression. As I hurried to the door, I heard Thomas behind me. Mom, wait, but I was already outside in the cold December air, fumbling for my car keys. The 20-minute drive back to my house felt like 20 hours. My mind raced with possibilities. What if someone really was robbing me? What if this was all a terrible prank? What if something had happened and I was too late? I tried calling the unknown number back. It rang once, then went to a generic voicemail. I tried again, same thing. Finally, I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I think my house might be being robbed. Someone called me and told me to come home. Are you at the house now, ma'am? No, I'm driving there. I'm about 10 minutes away. Ma'am, I need you to not go to the house. If you believe there's an active burglary, pull over and wait for police. But, ma'am, for your safety, do not approach the house. She took my address and promised to send a unit immediately. But I didn't pull over. I couldn't. Something was pulling me home. Some terrible certainty that I needed to see this with my own eyes. Keep listening, because what I found when I got home changed everything, and I mean everything. I turned onto my street at 7:43 p.m. The neighborhood was quiet, decorated with Christmas lights that blinked red and green and white, peaceful, safe, the kind of street where nothing bad ever happens. But as I approached my house, the beautiful craftsman that Richard and I had bought 30 years ago, I saw it immediately. The front door was closed. The porch light was on, just like I'd left it, but something was wrong. I pulled into the driveway and turned off the engine, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. The living room curtains were open. I always closed them when I left the house, and there was a light on in the basement. I never went in the basement anymore, not since Richard died. It was his workshop, his space, and going down there felt like trespassing on a grave. My phone buzzed again, another text from the unknown number, basement. Look in basement. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Against every instinct of self-preservation, I got out of my car and approached the house. The front door was locked, deadbolt and handle both secure. But when I walked around the side of the house to where the basement windows were, small windows that sat just above ground level, I saw it. One of them was broken. Glass glittered on the ground. The window was pushed open. And through that broken window, I saw a flashlight beam moving inside my basement. Someone was in there, right now. I should have run, should have waited for the police, should have done literally anything except what I did next. But I crept closer to that window, crouching down, and peered inside. The basement was dark except for that single flashlight beam. It was aimed at Richard's old filing cabinets, the ones where he kept all our important documents. The drawers were open, papers were scattered across the floor, and the person holding the flashlight was going through everything systematically, file by file. I couldn't see their face. Just a silhouette in dark clothes, hood up, moving quickly but carefully. Then the person turned slightly, and I saw his face in the reflected beam of the flashlight. My heart stopped. It was Albert Mitchell. Thomas's best friend since college, the guy who'd been best man at Thomas's wedding, who came over for barbecues and brought his kids to play with Thomas's kids. Albert, who I'd known for 20 years and trusted completely. Albert was robbing my house. For a moment I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process what I was seeing. Then Albert turned toward the window toward me and our eyes met. His face went white with shock. "Shit," he hissed, dropping the flashlight. He scrambled toward the broken window, trying to climb out. And some primal part of me, the part that had raised a son and taught high school English to teenagers who thought they could get away with anything, took over. I grabbed the biggest rock I could find in the garden bed and held it up like a weapon. "Don't you dare move," I shouted. Albert froze halfway through the window, his upper body outside, his legs still in my basement. We stared at each other. "Margaret," he started, don't you dare speak to me." My voice was shaking but fierce. "You stay right there until the police arrive. Margaret, please let me explain." Explain what, Albert? How you broke into my house, how you're going through my dead husband's files." His face crumpled, not with remorse, with something worse, fear. "He made me do it," Albert whispered. "What, Thomas?" "Thomas made me do it." The rock fell from my hand. "What did you just say?" Albert climbed the rest of the way out of the window, glass crunching under his hands. He stood up slowly, hands raised like I was pointing a gun at him. "Thomas asked me to do this," he said, his voice hollow. "He said it would be quick, said you'd be at his house for hours, said it would all be over before you even knew." My legs felt like they might give out. "You're lying." "I'm not." "I swear to God, Margaret, I'm not lying." "Why would Thomas, the will?" Albert gestured toward the basement. "He wanted me to find your husband's will and the stock certificates. He said they should be in the filing cabinet." The world tilted sideways. "The will is in a safe deposit box. He said there's a copy here, a certified copy, and the original stock certificates that Richard never converted." My mind was reeling. How did Thomas know about those? How did he know exactly where Richard kept everything? "He's been planning this for weeks," Albert continued, talking faster now, like he needed to get it all out before the police arrived. "He said you wouldn't notice if the documents went missing. Said you never go through that stuff anyway. He needed the stock certificates too, to liquidate them somehow. I don't know the details. He just said it would solve all his financial problems." Financial problems? The house, the roof, the promotion that fell through. Margaret, Thomas is in serious debt, like serious. He owes over $200,000 between credit cards and loans, and sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Albert's face went pale. "I have to go." "You're not going anywhere," I said coldly. "Margaret, please, you broke into my home. You violated my trust. You're going to wait right here and explain all of this to the police." He looked like he might run anyway. But then the police cars turned onto my street, lights flashing red and blue, and he slumped against the side of my house in defeat. Two officers got out, hands on their weapons. "Ma'am, are you Margaret Whitmore?" "Yes." "This man broke into my house." My voice sounded strange even to my own ears, distant, mechanical. "Through the basement window. He was going through my husband's files." The officers moved quickly, ordering Albert to put his hands behind his head, cuffing him, reading him his rights. "Do you know this individual, ma'am?" one officer asked me. "Yes," I whispered. "He's my son's best friend." The next 2 hours were a blur. Police searched my basement, photographed the broken window, took my statement. Took Albert's statement. Albert confessed everything, not because he wanted to, but because he knew he was caught. He told them about Thomas's plan, how Thomas had invited me for Christmas dinner specifically to keep me away from the house. How he'd given Albert detailed instructions about where to find the will and the stock certificates. How Albert was supposed to be in and out in 30 minutes. "But it took longer than I thought," Albert said miserably. "The filing cabinet was locked. I had to break it open. And then I couldn't find the documents where Thomas said they'd be. I was still looking when," he glanced at me. "When you showed up, how did you know I was coming home?" one of the officers asked me. "Someone called me, texted me, told me to come home immediately." "Do you know who?" "No, unknown number," the officer made a note. "We'll need to see your phone. That person might be a witness." Might be a witness. Or might be the only person in this entire nightmare who'd actually tried to help me. Finally, the police finished their work. Albert was taken away in handcuffs, still protesting that he was sorry, that he never wanted to hurt me, that Thomas had pressured him. I stood in my driveway, wrapped in a blanket an officer had given me, watching the patrol car drive away. "Mrs. Whitmore," the officer said gently, "is there someone who can stay with you tonight? You shouldn't be alone after this." "No," I said, "I'll be fine." "Are you sure?" I looked at my house, the home I'd shared with Richard for 30 years, the place that should have been safe, and felt something harden inside me. "I'm sure, thank you, officer." After they left, I went inside, locked all the doors, checked every window, stood in my violated basement, and looked at the scattered papers, the broken filing cabinet, the evidence of my son's betrayal. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I got back in my car and drove to Thomas's house because we weren't done, not even close. I arrived at Thomas's house at 10:27 p.m. The Christmas lights were still twinkling. Through the front window, I could see the family gathered in the living room. Thomas and Monica on the couch, the kids playing with new toys on the floor. Perfect. Everyone was there. I rang the doorbell. Thomas answered, his face shifting from confusion to concern when he saw me. "Mom, what are you doing here? Is everything? We need to talk," I said. "Now, with Monica, with your children present." "What?" "Mom, the kids are about to go to bed. This can't wait." Something in my voice made him step back. I walked into his house, the house with the roof that needed $35,000 in repairs, and stood in the center of his living room. Monica looked up from the couch, her face draining of color when she saw my expression. "Margaret, is something wrong? Turn off the TV," I said. "Mom, what's going on?" Thomas demanded. I said, "Turn off the TV." He did. The silence that followed was deafening. The children, Emma, age 7, and Jake, age 10, stared at me with wide eyes. "Kids," I said, my voice gentler, "I need to talk to your parents about something very serious. Would you mind going upstairs for a few minutes?" "Mom," Jake looked at Thomas. "Just go," Thomas said, his voice tight. "Go to your rooms." They went reluctantly, casting backward glances. Once they were gone, I turned to Thomas. "The police arrested Albert tonight," Monica gasped. Thomas's face went completely white. "What?" he whispered. "They arrested him for breaking into my house, for going through my basement, for trying to steal my husband's will and stock certificates." "No," and he told them everything, Thomas, everything, how you planned it, how you told him exactly what to look for and where to find it. How tonight's Christmas dinner was meant to keep me away from home while he robbed me. Monica stood up, her hand over her mouth. "Thomas," she breathed, "tell me she's lying. Tell me this isn't true." But Thomas couldn't speak. He just stood there, frozen, his face a mask of guilt and terror. "You son of a bitch," I said softly. "You invited your own mother to Christmas dinner so your friend could rob her blind. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like?" "I wasn't going to." He ran his hands through his hair. "I was just going to borrow. My voice rose. "You can't borrow documents, Thomas. You were going to steal my husband's will, steal the stock certificates that he worked his entire life to build." "I'm in debt," he shouted. "Do you understand? I'm drowning. I owe $200,000 and I can't keep up with the payments, and the house is falling apart and I'm going to lose everything. So you decided to rob your mother?" "Not rob, his voice broke. "Dad's stocks are worth over $2 million. You don't need all of it. You're living in that house alone. You don't even spend any money. I thought if I could just liquidate some of the shares, you'd never even notice. Those shares are mine, Thomas, but they were Dad's, and he left them to me." We stared at each other, both breathing hard. Monica had sunk back onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know," she whispered. "Margaret, I swear I didn't know he was going to do this." I believed her. The horror on her face was too real. "Thomas," I said, my voice deadly calm now, "let me make something very clear. Those stocks, that will, everything your father left me, it's mine. Legally, ethically, morally mine. You have no right to any of it, not while I'm alive. And certainly not through theft. I know. I'm going to the police station tomorrow morning. I'm going to press charges against Albert and against you." "Mom, no. You tried to rob me, your own mother." "On Christmas, I'm sorry." He was crying now, actual tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry. I was desperate. I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked me for help. I couldn't. Why not? Because I knew you'd say no, and there it was." The truth beneath all the lies. He'd never intended to ask, never intended to explain his situation, never trusted that I might actually help if I understood. He just decided he was entitled to what I had. And when he couldn't get it honestly, he tried to steal it. "Get out," Monica said suddenly. We both turned to look at her. "What?" Thomas said. "Get out of this house." Her voice was cold as ice. "I want you out. Tonight, Monica, you tried to rob your mother. You involved your best friend in a crime. You lied to me. You put our family at risk." She stood up, shaking. "I want you out of this house right now. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Figure it out, because you're not staying here." Thomas looked between us, his wife and his mother, and saw no sympathy in either face. "Fine," he said bitterly. "Fine, I'll go." He grabbed his coat and his keys and walked out the front door, slamming it behind him. The sound echoed through the house. Monica and I stood in the silence. "I'm so sorry," she finally said. "Margaret, I'm so sorry. I know you are. I had no idea he was capable of something like this." "Neither did I," she wiped her eyes. "Are you really going to press charges?" I thought about it. Thought about my son in jail. Thought about his children visiting him behind glass. Thought about the shame and the scandal and the permanent mark it would leave. Then I thought about Richard, about the will he'd carefully crafted, about the stocks he'd meticulously chosen and nurtured, about the legacy he'd left me because he trusted me to protect it. "Yes," I said. "I am." The fallout was swift and brutal. Thomas was arrested 3 days after Christmas. The evidence was overwhelming: Albert's confession, phone records showing they'd been in contact all day, the texts Thomas had sent with specific instructions about what to look for. The district attorney charged him with conspiracy to commit burglary and attempted theft. He made bail, but the damage was done. Monica filed for divorce. His employer, a financial services firm, let him go when they learned about the charges. Moral turpitude clause, they called it. His friends abandoned him, his reputation destroyed. And me, I changed all my locks, installed a security system, moved the stock certificates and the will copy to a new safe deposit box that only I could access. And I grieved, not for the relationship we'd had, but for the relationship I'd thought we had. I grieved the son I'd believed in, the man I'd thought I'd raised, the person who turned out to be a stranger. 3 months later, I received a letter in the mail from Thomas, written from the county jail where he was awaiting trial. Mom. I know you probably won't read this. I know you probably threw it away the second you saw my handwriting. But I need to say this anyway. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know it doesn't undo what I did or restore your trust or make anything better. But I need you to know that I'm genuinely, truly sorry. I was desperate, and desperation made me do something unforgivable. I convinced myself it wasn't really stealing because it would all be mine someday anyway. I convinced myself you wouldn't mind because you didn't need all that money. I convinced myself of 1,000 lies until I couldn't see the truth anymore. The truth is, I betrayed you. I violated your home and your trust and the love you gave me my entire life, and there's no excuse for that, none. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know that losing you, losing your respect and your presence in my life hurts more than anything else. More than losing my job or my marriage or my freedom. You were the best mother anyone could ask for, and I threw that away because I was selfish and stupid and desperate. I'm sorry, Mom, for everything. Thomas, I read that letter 3 times, then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't respond, not because I was still angry, though I was, but because some things can't be fixed with words, some betrayals cut too deep. The trial happened in June. Thomas pled guilty to reduced charges, criminal conspiracy, and attempted theft. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison with the possibility of parole after one. I wasn't there for the sentencing. Couldn't bring myself to sit in that courtroom and watch my son in chains, but Monica called me afterward. He cried, she said. When the judge read the sentence, he cried and said he was sorry. I'm sure he is, Margaret. The kids ask about you, they miss you. My heart clenched. I miss them too. Would you maybe want to see them, just them, not Thomas, just Emma and Jake? I thought about it for a long time. Yes, I finally said. I'd like that because they were innocent in all of this. They didn't deserve to lose their grandmother because their father was a criminal. Today, a year after that terrible Christmas, I'm sitting in my living room, the room where Richard and I celebrated 43 Christmases together, and I'm thinking about betrayal. About how it comes from unexpected places. About how the people who can hurt you most are the ones you love most. About how trust, once broken, can never quite be fully repaired. I see Emma and Jake twice a month. We go to the park or get ice cream or just hang out at my house. They don't talk about their father much, don't ask when he's coming home. They know what he did in the simplified way you explain crime to children. Daddy made a very bad choice and now he has to face the consequences. Monica and I have rebuilt something resembling a relationship, not close but cordial, friendly. 2 women bound together by their love for 2 children and their shared disappointment in the man who failed them both. As for Thomas, he'll be eligible for parole in 3 months. I don't know what I'll do when he gets out. Don't know if I'll see him, talk to him, try to rebuild something. Part of me wants to, the mother part. The part that remembers holding him as a baby and teaching him to ride a bike and watching him graduate college. But another part of me, the stronger part, remembers standing in my driveway last Christmas, watching police take away my son's best friend, knowing my own child had orchestrated it all. That's not something you just forgive and forget. I still don't know who sent me those texts. The police traced the number to a burner phone that was never recovered. The person who called me, the person who told me to come home, who warned me my house was being robbed, has never come forward. I have theories. Maybe it was a neighbor who saw Albert breaking in. Maybe it was someone Albert confided in who had a conscience. Maybe it was someone who knew Thomas's plan and couldn't live with staying silent. I'll probably never know. But whoever it was, they saved me. If I'd stayed at that Christmas dinner, Albert would have found those documents, would have gotten away, and Thomas would have liquidated my stocks before I even knew they were gone. I would have lost everything Richard worked for, everything he left me, all because I trusted my son. So, to that anonymous caller, wherever you are, thank you. Thank you for the buzzing phone that ruined Christmas dinner. Thank you for the urgent texts that sent me home. Thank you for having more integrity than my own child. You saved more than my money. You saved my future, my security, my peace of mind. And even though it came at the cost of my relationship with my son, I'm grateful, because some truths are worth knowing, no matter how much they hurt. This Christmas, I'll be alone. Monica and the kids are going to her mother's house in Vermont. She invited me, but I declined. I need time, space, a quiet holiday to reflect on everything that's happened. Maybe I'll make Richard's favorite meal, prime rib and Yorkshire pudding. Maybe I'll watch old movies and drink too much wine. Maybe I'll just sit by the tree and remember Christmases past, the good ones before everything fell apart. I've learned something this year, something I wish I didn't know but can't unknow. Family isn't always who you think it is. Sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones who hurt you most. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes you have to choose yourself, even when it means losing someone you never thought you'd lose. If you're listening to this story and seeing yourself in it, if you've ever been betrayed by family, stolen from by people you trusted, hurt by the ones who were supposed to love you most, please hear me. It wasn't your fault. You didn't deserve it, and you have every right to protect yourself, even if that means cutting ties with people who share your blood. Family is supposed to be sanctuary, but when it becomes a source of harm, you're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to press charges. You're allowed to say no more. You're allowed to choose your own peace over their comfort, because at the end of the day, the person you have to live with is yourself. And you deserve to live without fear, without betrayal, without constantly looking over your shoulder wondering when the next blow will fall. My phone still buzzes sometimes. Random calls from numbers I don't recognize. Usually it's spam. Robocalls, the usual annoyances, but every single time my heart rate spikes, just for a moment, just long enough to remember that Christmas dinner when everything changed, when the unknown number saved me from my own son. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd ignored those texts. If I'd stayed at Thomas's house, enjoyed dessert, gone home hours later to find everything disturbed but Albert long gone. Would I have noticed the missing documents right away, or would weeks have passed before I discovered the theft? Would Thomas have gotten away with it? The uncertainty haunts me, but I'm grateful, so grateful that I'll never have to know. Because that anonymous caller gave me something precious, the truth, painful, devastating, relationship-destroying truth, but truth nonetheless. And truth, however terrible, is always better than lies. Thank you for staying with me through this story, for listening to my pain, my anger, my grief, for understanding that sometimes the worst crimes happen within families, and sometimes the greatest betrayals come wrapped in Christmas paper. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Share it with anyone who needs to hear that they're not alone, that family betrayal is real, that it's okay to protect yourself. Leave a comment. Have you ever been betrayed by family? How did you handle it? Did you rebuild the relationship or walk away? I want to hear your stories, because we're all connected by our scars, and together we're stronger than any betrayal. Subscribe for more stories of survival, strength, and choosing yourself when no one else will. And remember, if your phone buzzes with an urgent message from an unknown number, maybe, just maybe, listen to it. Sometimes strangers care more about your well-being than the people who claim to love you. God bless you all. This is Margaret Whitmore, reminding you that it's never too late to protect what's yours, never too late to set boundaries, and never too late to choose truth over family loyalty, because family should protect you, and when they don't, you have to protect yourself. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and trust your instincts. They're usually right.